Hello friends, this is Hedda. I'm always a little bit nervous and excited when I bring you a new monthly setup, but this month is a little bit extra special to me. My very first bullet journal setup was June 2017, so this is really my 4-year bullet journal anniversary. It started as a necessity to get through summer courses at my college, but it has become so much more and I'm really grateful for that. I'm really happy that I started bullet journaling in the first place, and I'm also really happy that I started sharing it with you guys online. So this was my bullet journal setup from June 2017, my very first one. I definitely copied this from someone, but I can't remember who. It's obviously very different from my style today. I'd never even done calligraphy or brush lettering or anything, so yeah, the setup you'll see today is very different from this one. For this anniversary month, I kind of wanted to go back to my roots in a way, if that makes sense. You all know Walter, the adventurous dinosaur. He's been my profile picture on Instagram since I think the very beginning, and also on YouTube. He's also been the mascot of my Patreon page together with his dinosaur friends. And I even have a dinosaur themed sticker sheet in my shop, but I've never actually done a dinosaur theme in my bullet journal. So I figured that this would be the perfect month to do it since it's my anniversary and everything, and I'm really excited to show you. Before getting into the spreads, I want to quickly show you the printables I made for my Patreon this month. There's a calendar, which I personally like to put up on the wall over my desk, and there is also one sheet dedicated to each dinosaur: Fiona, Margaret, Walter, and Charles. There's also Sunny, but she's not currently connected to a tier, so there's no sheet for her. There's also a printable sticker sheet with lots of dinosaur stickers, and my Charles tier patrons are receiving 2 physical sticker sheets in the mail this month, one of them being the Dinosaur Friends sticker sheet from my shop, which you can see on the right edge of the screen right now. Although I've been drawing these dinosaurs a lot, I'm usually drawing them digitally, so while preparing for this video I had to go through my markers and find the ones that were closest to the digital dinosaurs as possible. My markers don't fit perfectly, but that's okay. This theme is definitely very pastel, and I think it's quite minimal in a way, even though there's a lot of drawing. I started out drawing Walter on the cover page with a 0.2 fine liner, but I found out I wanted to use really thin lines for this whole setup to give it a lighter feel, if that makes any sense. So for the rest of the setup I used a 0.05 and 0.03 fine liner, and it's been a really long time since I made a bullet journal setup with such thin lines. In fact, I don't think I've ever used anything this thin before. Anyway, so my cover page is very simple. I drew Walter because he's the main character in my life, and I also drew some shapes that are meant to look like washi tape. The font I chose for the titles this month is the simple bubble letter font, which I think fits the kind of silly theme very well. You'll also see that I made a rainbow, although I know it's not a true rainbow because it only has 6 colors and it's missing red, but I just didn't have a soft enough red that I could use. The rainbow is a nod to all of my brothers and sisters who are part of the LGBTQ+ community in some shape or form, as June is Pride Month, at least here in Norway. I don't know about the rest of the world. Although I am a straight cis woman, I want you guys to know that I'm a proud ally of my queer friends and that my channel is a queer-friendly space. So you'll see more rainbows and lots of colors in this setup. I chose this quote for my cover page. It is the childlike mind that finds the kingdom. It's by Charles Fillmore, who I don't really know very much about other than that he started some religious movement in the US in the 1800s, but that's not really very important to me. I just really like this quote. To me, this quote says that those who can tap into the child inside of them and enjoy things in a childlike way will find happiness and fulfillment. And I think it's very easy to get lost in the world of adults where everything is serious and important, but really life is so much more enjoyable when you take the time to enjoy the smaller things and allow yourself to be silly and not take everything so seriously. I was so scared of posting my art online and trying to sell it in any way until I drew these dinosaurs for fun like 5 years ago and decided to make a pattern out of them. So really my online presence as an artist started with Walter and his dinosaur friends. They're just silly pastel dinosaurs, but they let me embrace the child inside of me. And it's so weird to me that I never did a dinosaur theme before. This spread is going to be my dashboard for June, which will include my monthly calendar, my goals for the month, and a task list. I wanted to keep it kind of minimal while still incorporating lots of different things. I know that's kind of a contradiction, minimal and lots of things, but you'll see kind of what I mean at the end, I think. In the bottom left corner, I drew Charles, the dinosaur, and also some greenery and another rainbow. I kept the decorations quite simple and I focused a lot on the line art and the colors. I used the bubble letter font again, and I made all boxes on the spread kind of look like sheets from a notepad or a notebook. I used one of my favorite highlighters for this, which is the iconic two-way pen. I've never actually seen anyone mention these highlighters before, but they're so good. Their chisel nib makes a much thinner line than other highlighters that I've used, and the fine tip is really fine. I also really like their color selection. I used the warm gray to make a grid inside of my boxes, which is something that I've seen Artie from Leela Journals do, and I always thought it looked so nice. So I finally tried it for myself this month, and I really like how it turned out. I'm wearing my wrist brace today because the last couple of months my wrist has been hurting a lot, and especially after filming videos, because that's a lot of drawing and writing all at once. It's definitely time for another visit to my doctor so that I can hopefully see a specialist this time. And for now I'm just trying to not move it so much, and you can kind of see that a lot of the time I'm turning the notebook around instead of putting my wrist in a difficult position. But the wrist brace really makes my hand kind of awkward. It makes it behave a little bit differently. So I had some cases of some squiggly lines because of it. I've been trying to do more stuff with my left hand, like lifting grocery bags only with my left arm and cleaning using my left hand and other stuff, but chopping vegetables with my left hand is dangerous. I know that this could become a serious injury, so I'm not belittling it or anything, and I do take it seriously, hence the wrist brace. And I have been taking time off completely from drawing for some periods of time during May, and I think I'll have to keep doing that just to kind of give my wrist a break. My color selection for this month is basically 2 shades each of blue, green, yellow, purple, and pink, since each dinosaur has a more pastel body and then darker scales on their backs. No dinosaurs with feathers here. They're not an exact match of the digital versions, but I think that's kind of impossible anyway. I think that when I started with this setup, I didn't actually realize how colorful it would become. Using all these different colors together does freak me out a little bit, and you'll probably see me do a super muted and neutral theme for July, because that's just how it goes, I guess. Speaking of July though, it will be the last month that I can fit into this journal, so I'll be moving on to a new one starting in August. I'll of course make a video where I set up the new notebook, and the notebook that I've been using since January is from Macy Lane Co. And as always, you can get 15% off your purchase from macylane.co by using my affiliate code mochibujo15. Although I was gifted this notebook, I have really enjoyed using it so far, and I'll be kind of sad to let it go. I've already decided on which will be my next notebook, so you can try to guess in the comment section which brand I've decided on. I'm having a hard time placing this theme because it has pastels and dinosaurs and rainbows and stationery and even some florals. It definitely captures the child in me. It's also completely different from what I had actually envisioned, which usually would make me disappointed, but in this case it just kind of worked, so I'm not mad about it. I learned from last month that I really liked putting these thin squiggly lines around my drawings and around the boxes, so I did that for this month as well, and of course couldn't stay away from those sparkles. The final touch to this page was a little quote at the bottom which says, Everything You Can Imagine Is Real, and it's by Pablo Picasso. I thought it really fit this theme of childlike imagination and joy, so I wanted to remind myself that letting my imagination flow is a really great exercise, and that imagined things can feel just as real. After all, a lot of art comes from your imagination, so I think that our imagination is such an important part of just being human. This next spread is going to be a combination of a summer bucket list and a habit tracker, which I like to call focus instead of habit tracker because habit tracker just sounds so scary to me because it feels like I'm forcing myself to do things, while in my habit tracker spread or my focus spread, it's more like activities that I like to focus on doing that month, if that makes sense. So instead of trying to force myself to do it every day, I like to track how often I do it, and I like to remind myself that this is what I should focus on this month. So about the summer bucket list, last year I think I took like 1 week off for summer vacation. I didn't really feel like I took full advantage of the warm weather. So this year I'm making a bucket list for the summer, which I think will be very low-key, like go to the beach or visit the new art museum in my neighborhood. I don't have that high expectations of the summer because of the pandemic, although my city, Oslo, is slowly starting to open up again this coming week, which I am so excited about because everything's basically been closed since November, and I just can't wait to go to a restaurant again or just like sit down at a cafe. It's gonna be so nice. So just a simple list of things I'd like to do this summer, not necessarily just in June, but just in general. So yeah, since I haven't been able to do anything lately because of lockdown, I'll probably just put down like go to my favorite cafes or something. On the other side of the spread is my habit tracker, and I just made a simple title and then made little Polaroid frames to hold each calendar. And then, as you can see, I made kind of a grid behind the summer bucket list using one of my iconic two-way pens. And I was debating whether or not I should do it on the other side of the spread as well, but I decided against it. I don't know what you think. Like, should I do it on the other side too? I decorated with some of my dinosaur stickers that are available in my shop, ikigaipapir.com. And then I colored in all of the Polaroids with pastel colors. And I forgot that I only have 5 different colors, so the last one became gray. If you're wondering what I usually put in my focus spread every month, I tend to put down like work tasks. So I'll put, for example, YouTube, and then I'll cross off every day of the month that I worked on YouTube, and that can be anything from answering comments or actually filming a video or editing or anything related to video creation and YouTube management. And then I'll put Instagram, for example, which includes taking pictures and, editing pictures. And one of the most frequently asked questions I get on Instagram is how I edit my photos, or like how specifically I blur out the text in my photos so that I can show a spread with lots of writing on it while still like blurring all the writing so that I don't accidentally share any private information. And I use Adobe programs for this. I use Premiere Pro for editing videos. I use Lightroom and Photoshop to edit my photos, specifically Photoshop to blur out the writing in the photos. Moving on to the last spread of this video. This one is all dedicated to road trips because that's the main form of traveling we're really able to do here in Norway during this pandemic. What's great about road trips is that you don't actually have to be in contact with anyone, so it's very pandemic friendly. Here in Norway we have what we call the Freedom to Roam Act. I think that's the English translation, which basically says that you can walk anywhere, you can camp anywhere, as long as you follow a few simple rules like don't camp in front of someone's house and just don't bother people. So with a car, we can basically set up our tent anywhere or even sleep in the car if we want to. We don't own a car, but we'll be renting one whenever we want to go on trips. So on the left page here, I printed out a map over Norway, and the reason why I printed it instead of drawing it is that most of the border is coastline with lots of fjords and some 50,000 islands or something, and I don't have the strength to try and make that even semi-accurate. So I went with a printout and I think it works quite well. The idea is that I mark the trips we go on the map, and I also have these boxes where I can write down the places we go and places I'd like to visit. And then on the right side, I have a little playlist, but instead of my usual top 5 or 4 songs that I normally do, this one is going to be a longer playlist and kind of a playlist for the road. I love listening to music when I drive, so this is going to be part of my road trip playlist. So if you have any songs that you like listening to while driving, drop them in the comment section below so that I can check them out. I'd love to get some ideas. I mostly used pink and yellow for this spread, and if you've been with me for a while, you know that that's my favorite color combination. I just love pink and yellow together. So Fiona and Sunny are here on this spread, and I also use these little branch stickers that are also on the sticker sheet. These kinds of spreads always feel really empty when I make them, but that's just because I haven't filled them with writing yet. So I kept feeling like something was missing, but I think that it will feel right when I start filling in the boxes and I start filling in the playlist, which I'll be doing very soon. Of course, I had to put the squiggly lines around everything, and I think that the spread turned out quite nice. It's definitely the simplest spread of the setup, but I like that it doesn't have as much color as the other spreads. Now that I look back on it, I feel like I could have fit in a rainbow here somewhere, but I'll have to save it for one of the weekly spreads. Here's a flip through of all of the spreads, and if you'd like to see more pictures of them as I fill them in, then go ahead and follow me on Instagram, where I post pictures of all of my spreads. That's all for today. I really hope that you enjoyed this pastel dinosaur theme. If you end up recreating it, tag me on Instagram. I really love seeing your recreations and seeing how you use my Patreon printables and even the stickers from my shop. And thank you so much to my patrons for always supporting me. If you want to join the Patreon, there's a link to it in the description box below. I hope that you're all having a lovely day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!